Isn't that so pretty? Yeah. Isn't that so pretty?
Alright, hello everybody. I know it's been quite a long time since we posted our first video, almost 2 years by now actually. But with 2 years passing, we have a whole lot to talk about on this subject. And I'm also going to note, we wanted to do updates, but sometimes it can be really hard to talk about when you're going through it. And now with more perspective and more knowledge, the most knowledge we could have at this point in time on the subject, we feel pretty ready to talk about it and try to relay that information to y'all in a way that will be helpful and useful. So to start, I'm just going to go over everything that we are going to touch bases on today, and that is basically going to be 10 different questions that we will be answering. And we'll start with the milestones. So when did he start talking? When did he start using sentences? When did he start responding to facial expressions / looking us in the eyes? And when did he start responding to his name? And then Poseidon's personal progress, which is how well is he paying attention? Where is he compared to the average? And what is the difference from where we started? And then last, we will be touching on early childhood intervention. 1, how was it? 2, how did you get started, or how did we get started? And what techniques did we learn? And there is a lot. I mean, I could probably make a whole series on that alone, so we will just be touching on that one, but I'll probably be mentioning some of the most useful techniques that we use to get him paying attention to us again and being interested again in engaging socially. Alright, so to answer the first question, he was around 2 years old when he started using his first words, and it did still take a few months until he was consistently using words and using new words, and then sentences came around December. But I will say the most important thing was, when did he start paying attention to us and our expressions and making eye contact with us, because we would have never been able to get there if we didn't start here. And I would say that he started giving us eye contact again also when he was around 2. And then his name was actually surprisingly one of the last things that we were able to have progress with. For a very long time, he wasn't responding to his name at all. And eventually he did seem to understand what his name was. But it wasn't until, I would say, like the last few months that he would consistently come to us if we call him and really respond to his name. Alright, so how well is he paying attention? And this has kind of wavered up and down. Currently, we actually do still struggle keeping his attention. That being said, he's still definitely very social. And I'm not sure, before I get into it, I'll touch on this later, but just to answer these questions first and foremost, we do still struggle with keeping his attention, but that's okay, we're not worried about it. I feel like he kind of started his terrible 2s a little later because he had to catch up on, being social and communicative, and we're gonna get to behavioral issues now. Per his last evaluation, which he had just not even a few weeks ago, he is actually average or above average in every category that he was tested for, so we're very happy about that. And yes, the next question, where we started and where we're at now, his very first evaluation at 15 months had his communication skills at 7 months. So less than half of his age was where he was at. And per his last, he's doing great. We're very relieved. For a time there, we were concerned that there would be issues with us getting to communicate with him for who knows how long. And now we're just so thankful, and we will never take that for granted again, that we can talk to him and he'll communicate with us and he'll continue to learn with us every step of the way. And ECI. First, I want to start by saying I'm so so thankful for early childhood intervention. I really think that there's just so many things that we could have never known to do, or approaches that we would have never known to take had it not been for ECI. And in addition to that, the therapists and speech therapists that we were able to work with were amazing. We're both so thankful for them. They helped us every step of the way to get us to where he's no longer considered behind or at risk for autism. ECI was an adjustment, but well worth it, and we would definitely recommend. So to explain that a little bit, we would have, for most of the time he was in the program, the therapist would come into the home and just witness him in his most natural learning environment, which is at home, playing with us and learning with us. And they would just kind of help us recognize the areas where he was falling behind and give us advice and tips and information from the program that they had for us to teach us how to move away from those habits, and, as they said, kind of rewire the brain back to how it should be, as far as how he would be interacting socially. Alright, so how did we get started? We actually got started by addressing the concerns initially to his pediatrician, and they helped get us in touch with early childhood intervention. And then ECI reached out to us, and we had his first evaluation, and of course he did qualify right away, so we got enrolled and started. And from there it was pretty easy to carry on because, like I said, at least for the people we were working with, they were amazing. And just so sweet, understanding, and helpful through the whole process. Alright, so what techniques did we learn? And as I said earlier, I could easily make a whole series on everything we learned from ECI, but I will start with some of the things that I feel like made the most improvement immediately. And one of the first things that we had to learn to do, not learn to do, but rather start doing, was something called blanket time. And that was an activity where we would have a certain blanket that we only used this one time a day. And with this blanket would be a few toys that he also could only access when we were playing with it together the one time a day. And the rest of the time we would usually have it hiding, because these toys become special incentive to stick around on the blanket. The goal is to make things feel safe, and make him feel comfortable with us again, to where he doesn't feel a pressure. And the goal of this time is to not get him to perform, but rather to just enjoy being with us and being safe. So we would have a few toys that would encourage him to be social with us the best that we could. Some toys, for instance, we had to often switch things out. Some toys might lead him to do behavior that is actually kind of in the wrong direction, such as one typical one, for instance, is lining all of his toys up in a line and just having them just kind of in a very particular order. That is a behavior that is kind of in the opposite direction, because it's not really pretend play, it's not really encouraging the creativity or anything social. It's just kind of organization. So to differ, what we might do is blocks, and we can stack the blocks together, and as soon as he leaves the blanket time is over. We pack it up and we put it away. And that is something that we had the goal to do every day, and I think actually in the beginning maybe even twice a day. Alright, so another thing that we used to help get him to look at us again was to constantly put ourselves, when we were trying to get his attention, right in front of his eyes. We have to move ourselves instead of getting in or moving from the habit of expecting him to look up at us. So that would, yes, require, especially during blanket time, a lot of laying down on the floor and looking up at him, and kind of moving yourself around to get his attention and try to get him back into the habit of looking to you when he has things to share, or when he has questions, or when he has things that he wants to do. Alright, y'all, so I had some other things in mind, but I just totally drew a blank, so I am whipping out the book. This is the Pathways Parent Training book that we received, and it has everything laid out, and although I considered laying this out for y'all in a series in the future, I don't think that I would like to do that because, of course, I am not a healthcare professional and y'all would be much better off using ECI services if you determine that to be necessary. It is very affordable for us. It was actually free, but if it wasn't free for us, it would have been $5 a month. So, but to go ahead and keep going with that, another thing that we found to be very useful is something called sensory social activities. And that is things that helped bring him back into being excited to be social with us. So, for instance, one of our favorites that really got him interested in us again was row, row, row your boat, but not just singing it to him, laying him down on the floor, and us being over him, looking down at him, kind of like on your knees while he's laying down with his legs facing up. You hold his legs and you row him as you go, row, row, row your boat gently down the stream, and then you sing the whole little thing, but then you do it a second time. And on the second time, instead of down the stream, merrily, 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 life is but a dream. Okay, second time, instead of life is but a dream, you would say, if you see a crocodile, don't forget to scream, rah! And you get up all close in their face and they giggle and laugh. And that was one that definitely really helped get us back to a good place as far as like making him just want to be with us and whatnot. Another one is this little piggy went to market, and the whole shebang. Especially if you throw in some little foot tickling in there, that can definitely help make your child more excited to have these activities with you. And these are the ones that I would always refer to when I was having issues getting him to want to play with us, because it's just you and your child and no other distractions, and that really helps recreate that connection. Alright, so to touch bases, we went from him at 15 months to where he is now, just short of a week of being 3. The past 2 years was a huge growth period for not only him, but also ourselves, and a lot of looking inward at our own behaviors. And I will say I'm very thankful for the ways that things turned out, because our connection with him just got so much stronger over the past 2 years. And also with ourselves, I want to say that this process and looking into these sort of parenting techniques just helped also maybe kind of rekindle some things for ourselves as well, which maybe I could touch on in another day, but that's not what this is about today. But overall, I was just going to touch on Poseidon is doing great, and even the therapist mentioned that the recovery that he made was unlike almost anybody else that they had personally seen, and they definitely believe that is because we went into the program as early as possible, very early. I think he was actually the youngest. He was the youngest out of anybody else that was in the program at the time. We're all very proud of him, and that is not to say that there isn't still some things that have, maybe fallen behind. For instance, our focus has been entirely on making him want to be social and communicative, and as a result, I think I mentioned earlier, there are some behaviors that have kind of sprung out that are not the best or maybe age appropriate. We love him. Maybe now a little too much to where we're having a hard time disciplining him, and we just didn't want to do anything to discourage him wanting to be social with us. But now we see we're feeling pretty safe with it, and we can move on from there. And I'm so glad I forgot to mention, or not glad that I forgot to mention, but glad that I remembered to bring it up. One huge factor for us that we feel like made a world of difference is there was a point where about a year ago now, we moved in with my husband's parents, and as a result of that, Poseidon was in a household with a lot more people, and we do think that helped to make him more social, because before, most days it was just me and him, and he still has not been in daycare, but he does have family that he gets to connect with every day, and we think that has helped a lot. So if y'all do have any way to be with family, I would definitely go ahead and do that. He also has a cousin who's just a little older, and we think that every time that they get to see each other, that helps a lot as well, and just kind of helps let us know where he's at, because there would be a time where maybe he wasn't interested in playing with his cousin, but now he definitely likes playing alongside with him, and I think is at a more age-appropriate play level. If you'd like to continue and follow along with our story, please subscribe. We have many plans for future videos and to be posting more regularly with content between the three of us. If you have any questions, please comment. I will always answer, and I just want to give as much help as I can, because going into the situation was really scary and really overwhelming, and it feels good to have an idea of what you need to do. So I definitely am here to help, and I will always respond as soon as possible. And thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.
What? I want tomatoes, please.
Hippo wants tomatoes? Okay, maybe later I'll have some tomatoes. Today I think I want some more berries.
Blueberries right now.
Blueberries right now? Thank you, Poseidon. I love blueberries.
Yeah.